Hi there. So, since I filmed my last video, unfortunately, we haven't really had a dry day. We had one dry day, that was the Friday. That was the day when I had to bring Norman to Almería for his 18-month service. So we got lucky there. So yeah, unfortunately I don't have a ride for you this week, but I did capture some footage when I was taking Norman over for his service. So we'll just let that run in the background. And I'll just give you a little update, tell you what we got up to on the day. So as you can see here, we had to get up at silly o'clock as usual because they like to get the bike as early as possible because otherwise they won't finish it before their lunch break and then I'd be stuck there all day. So basically it takes me an hour and a half to get there and they want me there for about 9 o'clock. So yeah, it's always an early start. I was a little bit later this time, so fortunately it wasn't dark when I left, which it often is in the winter. So it's a very cloudy day. We actually rode through the clouds a little bit on this ride and yeah, made a change. It wasn't too cold, so that was good. Eventually we got through the clouds and we ended up at Motos Matilla in Almería. Now, once I got the bike checked in and the keys handed over, I had to look around at their current stock, and to my great surprise I saw that they had a Guerilla 450 in the base version, a silver one with the analog clocks, which you can see here. So I had a good look at that, and yeah, it was good to see it in the metal. It was also good to see how the clocks look. This bike actually has a tripper pod as well as the clock, which I think is an option, but anyway, that's how it came. And yeah, it was interesting to see it in that colour. Wouldn't say I was blown away by it, but I thought it was alright. I thought it looked okay, and it was really good to see the analog clocks. While I was looking at the bike, actually, the sales guy came over with a sold sign and pretended to put it on the tank and smiled at me. And I said, no, it's not sold, it's not sold. I haven't decided yet. So he took the sold sign away. And yeah, I just had a nice look at it. And while I was there, they also had a Himalayan 450 in a colour scheme I hadn't seen in the metal either. That was a slate poppy blue Himalayan, which looks quite nice. Makes a change from the black and yellow one, which I think most people go for because of the gold rims, and who can blame them. But yeah, it looks quite smart. I'd quite like to see the brown one, the poverty spec one. I think that would look pretty good, a little bit Desert Storm, but I haven't actually seen one of those in the metal yet. But yeah, this was the first time I'd seen a poppy blue, and it was smart enough. So I mentioned in my previous video that I would possibly ride the Guerilla again while I was getting Norman serviced. On the day, because the weather wasn't great and I wasn't really feeling it, I decided I was just going to sit there and read some stuff on my phone and reply to some comments and that sort of thing. So yeah, I was just sat there doing my own thing, waiting for them to finish the bike. And one of the other guys from the shop came in. He'd come in on a scooter. He'd been out running some errand or other. He comes in the door and sees me sitting there and he goes, "Oh, hello, Gary. You're going to take the Guerilla out again?" And I said, "No, it's all right. Thanks very much. I'm all right. I've ridden it. I know what it's all about. It's no problem." And he said, No, you've got to go out on it. You've got to go out on it. You're just going to be sat here waiting anyway. You might as well go out on it. That's what we've got it for." So I said, "Well, if you insist." So yeah, he did insist. So I then filled out all of the liability forms and they gave me the keys and basically they just sent me off with their Guerilla 450. So in the end, I did end up riding it, even though that wasn't my intention on the day. And yeah, I thought for a change this time I'd take it through the city just to see what it's like in a little bit of stop-start traffic. So I did my normal route through the city, along the promenade, and then back via the motorway. And yeah, pretty much confirmed my impressions from my previous test ride. One thing that I did notice was that every time I stopped at a pedestrian crossing or a junction, very quickly the fan came on, which was a bit surprising. I thought with it being liquid cooled, it would have enough volume there to keep itself cool without needing the fan for a fair while. But this bike certainly didn't. I mean, I don't know whether it had enough water in it. One would hope so. But yeah, the fan came on pretty much straight away every time I stopped. I also noticed quite a lot of heat on my trousers when we were stopped, so quite a lot of heat coming off the engine. And yeah, I don't know if that's normal. It certainly wasn't a hot day this day, so this was like a 22-degree day, something like that. So I mean, if it's getting that hot now, it's going to get very hot when we're up near 40 degrees in the summer. So yeah, that was interesting. It's not a problem. I mean, if the fan comes on and the bike's happy with the fan running, there probably won't be an issue. My only concern would be as the bike gets older, maybe the switch that's supposed to trigger the fan packs up, or the fan itself packs up, and you could very quickly, particularly in the summer, end up cooking the engine without realising it. So I sincerely hope that there's a decent high temperature warning light somewhere on the bike, because if this engine really is dependent upon the fan to stay cool when it stood still, that could be an issue as the bike gets older, and obviously you don't want to cook the engine. So yeah, that's just something to be aware of. It really only bothered me because it was making a racket. So you're like at a pedestrian crossing and the bike's going zzzz, and people tend to look at you, so that's not really my thing. Yeah, so I noticed that. So basically the fan seemed to go on a lot. I don't know whether any of you out there with Guerillas already can confirm that that does happen, or maybe this bike's just low on water. I wouldn't rule that out either. Another thing I confirmed on this ride was that the low seat height combined with the relatively high foot pegs does indeed lead to a fairly cramped leg position for me. I have quite a angle in my thighs and my knees. So yeah, it's fine for the kind of riding I would use it for a couple of hours on a Sunday. It would be fine. But I think if I did a long trip on it, something like 4 hours, I think my legs would probably get quite stiff and I'd need to do lots of stretching out. But yeah, I definitely could feel that the leg angle was a little bit extreme for me, but not an issue, as I say, for the sort of shorter rides that I'd probably be doing with the Guerilla anyway. So at the end of this ride with the Guerilla, I still didn't really have a clear idea what I was going to do. It hasn't really made my mind up either way, unfortunately, but it certainly hasn't put me off. I'm thinking that I probably have made a decision, but I am not in a position to commit to the decision just yet. So I'm just waiting for things to develop, but I think we're getting pretty close to committing to a final decision on this bike. And yeah, it was a real bonus to be able to see it in the colour that I was thinking of getting with the analog clocks, which I wanted. And yeah, I was very happy with it. I like it in that colour and with the analog clocks, so it's definitely still a contender. So after my second ride on the Guerilla, I sat back down and got back on my phone. And sometime after that, I was told that my bike was ready, Norman was ready, so I was ready to set off home. The mechanic said that the chain was a bit tight when they got it, and I can't rule it out, although I'm a little bit surprised. I did recently adjust the chain, so they said they slackened off the chain a little bit, which is fair enough. Yeah, we were ready to go. So unfortunately, there were no meatballs on the way home. Yeah, meatballs, what's that all about? Well, one of my viewers from Canada, Brett Roman, he commented on my first Guerilla test ride video where I was filming outside of IKEA. He commented that he thought I was going to substitute Ruby sausages with IKEA meatballs because I was near IKEA. But yeah, that got us talking about meatballs weirdly, because I said, oh, are they any good? I've never actually had them. I've heard of them, but I've never actually had them. And apparently Brett says, yeah, they're really good, one of his favourite things. So I did say to Brett, oh, well, I'm off for a service with Norman soon to Almería. Maybe I'll swing by IKEA on my way home and try their meatballs, and I'll get back to you. But unfortunately, by the time they'd finished the bike, it was just before they knocked off their afternoon break, so it was already quite late in the day, and Ruby'd been on her own for quite a long time. So I decided that I didn't have time this time to stop at IKEA and test their meatballs, but it's definitely one for the future. It's on my bucket list, and with my bikes, I'm quite often in Almería anyway, so I don't think it's going to be too long before I finally get to try them, Brett. In other news, I keep meaning to mention this and I keep forgetting. I continue to gather subscribers at a fairly healthy rate, and it's fairly consistent. So I'd just like to say thank you to everybody who's subscribed and welcome to the channel. A few of you have introduced yourselves in the comments section, and I'd just like to encourage those of you that are subscribed but haven't left a comment yet. Please feel free to introduce yourself to myself and others through the comments. We're a very friendly bunch. We're all very nice to each other. We play nicely. So don't be shy. If you are a regular viewer and a current subscriber and you haven't commented yet, just let us know who you are, why you're interested in the channel. I like to reply to all comments, so feel free to comment. Don't be shy. So thank you again to everybody who subscribed in the last 6 months to 1 year. It's quite a lot of people, really. I haven't had contact with all of you, I'm sure. So yeah, I look forward to hearing from you at some point in time. So I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover in this short video. Unfortunately, as I said, I didn't have any new footage for you or any significant footage for you because this was the only ride I've been able to do in the past week. The weather's still not looking great here, as you've probably heard. There's more rain forecast still. So I don't know if I'm going to have a video for you next week, but I'll do my very best. So thank you very much for watching this one. And of course, now I'll go out and give Ruby a sausage. Thank you for watching. Take care until the next one. Bye-bye. So, Ruby, what did you think about Daddy not being able to get his meatballs? Oh, I think I'd like meatballs. I think you would too. Never mind, eh? At least you did such a good job of looking after the house for Daddy that it's time for... What's it time for? Sausages! Oh, yeah. Sausages. Better than meatballs. Sausage. Nice one.